Hi, fellow artists. I'm Linda Ryan. This is one of my elderberry shrubs out in the garden to start this off because it's a beautiful day, and this is one of the places that has given me a lot of peace. So, what we're here today for, what I'm doing this for, is to give you guys a little bit of an introduction to pour painting, but pour painting with purpose. It's not the kind that you find all over the internet if you've looked. The internet has all kinds of people teaching you to put craft paint mixed with glue in different colors in a cup and pour it out on your board or your canvas. And not only, it can make some pretty stuff. It's fun to play with. It's really fun with kids. But I want to take it a little step beyond. So we're going to look at a little bit about basics, materials, definitely, because that's super important. And we're going to look at how to layer so that you can create imagery and interesting effects with pour painting beyond just dumping it on a board and turning it. That's what you're going to see next while I start talking a little bit more. Some demos I've done. These are pretty thin demos, the first couple, and then I'll show you one of my favorite demos. Right. An ad that I'd put together for a class I was doing and in Mendocino, so it was real short and sweet. This one's a little more involved. Starting out here with a transparent black, I mixed some bronze, interference gold, one of my favorites. It especially mingles well with the burnt orange, and then quinacridone burnt orange mixed in with a little bit of anthraquinone blue, which is a deep purpley blue. Makes for it just browns it out just in a pretty way. This is mixed with Liquitex pouring medium only, and this is one of those ones where I'm being a little bit more careful than I often am as far as moving the board itself. So right in here, in that area that I just was pointing to, while I'm adding a really thin layer of, a really thinly pigmented layer of quinacridone gold, it is a super transparent color and isn't going to show much where the darker areas are. And now, while you're watching this, look at, okay, hard to see right now, but look at the dark areas underneath, because those are going to be just sort of a reddish black at the end. They're deep orange black, where I'm pointing to right now specifically. That's going to end up being a black. I'll show you the finished picture at the end. Now here, this is part of the layering process I wanted to make sure to show you. So you let your imagery dry, and you may end up doing 3 or 4 pours on it. Those rocks, those coastal rocks that I've got in there, have already got several layers going. And then I'm adding in some zinc white mixed quite a bit with GAC 800. It breaks it up in an interesting way. It makes it actually look fairly transparent, but lightens the surface. And then some interference gold. What I'm going for here is that effect that you get in the maybe in the morning when it's really overcast and the sun is just starting to break through. The title of this piece ended up being Overcast with You. I was in Mendocino, and oh my goodness, I missed my partner so much. I did all these 2 rock paintings, paintings of 2 rocks, kind of just hanging out. And I realized, oh, this is me and Dwayne. We're just like, yeah. Anyway, so I'm not using much other than a liquid text pouring medium and the pigments that that we'll go into. Because I really just want a fairly smooth, non-bumpy surface. The GAC 800 does make it a kind of a bumpy surface you're going to have to fix afterwards by either resining or adding another layer of straight pour. That is looking like purple, right? It's not purple, what was just put on there. It's going to turn into a really nice gray. This medium is almost as white as working with glue, and it just alters the color of your pigment so much that you pretty much have to save yourself by mixing it up and letting a little bit dry on a piece of paper or a label or something, and sticking it to the top of your plastic bucket or whatever you're going to keep it in, a squirt bottle, whatever. Because it's going to end up being darker, and the color is really different. Now, once you get used to it, you don't have to do that too much more. I still do have to with like the things that I want to be really light, because it's much easier to add color to a transparent pour painting than it is to take it away. And when I'm talking about a transparent pour painting, I use a lot of transparent paint or pigments in with the medium. I really like how it makes it for beautiful depth, and how the light bounces through it. It's kind of like that old thing with the old masters with Caravaggio and the darks that they would create by layering and layering and layering complementary hues mixed with oil paint until it achieved a really beautiful black or dark. So now for the fun part. Sometimes tilts are like really big and crazy, and but sometimes it's really just a matter of getting the paint to go one way until you want to stop. I mean, until it tells you to stop. And the other part is paying attention to all sides of it, not just looking at one area that you want to change, because you're changing every bit that's wet. I will also add a photo of this one at the end so you can see how that one turned out. Oh, great. Am I dancing? No. Okay, good. I think I edited that part out. There's a great radio station up there that I just fell in love with and listened to all the time. So you will find when you're working with this stuff that a plastic spoon is one of your best friends. So, and I use them over and over and over again. They don't peel off really well if you let them dry, so you try to wipe them off or put them in water. So you see at the top of the painting there's a big pitcher, an open pitcher of pouring medium. At the dollar store you can get, or used to, haven't been there since COVID, you used to be able to get for $1 a big pitcher that has a lid, which ends up getting glued together, and you have to play with that. But it allows you to pour your medium out really much more easily. And then, like, if you run out of some color and you've got to make it at the very last minute, or you want to lighten a color that you already have by adding more medium, it's a much easier way of doing it without introducing bubbles. Bubbles are not your friend with this stuff. Pouring medium has got in it a bit of ammonia, actually quite a bit of ammonia, that acts as a surfactant, and if you shake it, it's just mounds of bubbles. It's more than a 7-Up. And yeah, well, you can get rid of a lot of bubbles by popping them and by using alcohol spray at the end, a nice high percentage of rubbing alcohol, definitely above 70%. It's better to have 91%. 70% will work if you got it. And that'll pop a lot of your surface bubbles, but you can, if it's shaken or you've mixed the paint too soon before your painting session, you can have just a horrific amount of bubbles. And it's no fun, no matter how good you are with a skewer. Having to get out 1,000 bubbles is really hard. Okay. So this still looks purple, and it will be a purplish gray, but it's not going to look anywhere near like that. And it will be darker, but it won't be purple, purpley purple. Oh God, please let me have cut out the part about dancing. I just don't have time to do a ton of editing on these. I wanted to let you guys know also that you guys are the first ones seeing any of these extra demos. People have seen the first one I showed, and definitely the Dreams at the Reef at Dawn, which is attached to my website, and I'm hoping that I can tuck Bill into having a clip of it here. I don't really know how much extra time we'll have, but he will. These I just haven't done anything with. I did a bunch of filming, thinking that I would take people along. I'm dancing. Take people along with me to Mendocino, visually. And what I ended up doing was having so much time to paint that's what I did. I went very internal, and I kind of ignored Facebook. All right, here's a spray of alcohol. Please do remember to do that. I didn't used to believe in it. I used to think that it changed the sheen of the painting, but it honestly, it doesn't. It just evaporates. One more little tilt. Just got to do that. Just got to tilt. Some of the videos I looked at that were just too much of a mess. There was one where the whole thing the whole squirt bottle poured out onto my painting. That was, I probably should have had a bloopers kind of thing. But there's so many videos of this stuff dripping off the side onto my shoes that I finally figured out how to change that out. Okay, so here, you just have to give me a blanket forgiveness. I accidentally filmed it, I don't know how many gazillion times fast. It flips right through it. And but I don't have a lot of boards to really show you, to do demos on right now, so I'm just going to show you. Okay, what I just did, I put out some black. This has got GAC 800. And the black is made with transparent pigments. All that's on my basics in the website. This is a bit of pearl with from Golden's fluid or high flow acrylics, and they break up really interestingly and do wonderful striations. This is how I do a lot of my rocks. Not all, but some of them, and I know this one turns out well for a demonstration, so I was okay, all right, what can I do to show them how to be able to be successful with this? Spoons. Now the back of the spoon, not just dribbling it in. I just love spoons. And I'm going to just keep going with a little bit more pigment. Pigment looks like some blue. And eventually in here, I pull out a Q-tip, which is a really fun... oh no, that's the next demo. Sorry. Okay. This, I'm putting out... the first dot I put out was just Liquitex pouring, or GAC 800, which is a different type of medium. Liquitex pouring medium, and then I did a Golden's pouring medium, which I'm not as fond of. It works, but I'm not as fond of it, and it's pretty much just as expensive as Liquitex, so I don't know. I love Golden products, but I'm not super thrilled with that. So I will show you what this looks like dried, but the GAC 800 high flow acrylics, when you drop them into it, it breaks apart in like really interesting ways, like sea life, like barnacles and mussels and pearly weird things that you might see. Okay, so fast. All right, so then I was showing you the taping the back of the painting and painting the sides. It's a really good idea. I don't always get there, but I usually do. So now what I'm going to do here is show you how simply I do waves. They sometimes they take a ton of layers also, but this is another one that I know works. So I put down some, like a grayed out cerulean blue in pouring medium. Then put down a bit of GAC 800, squirted that on there. Now we've got a little bit of white, and then some pearl right here. Just squirting a little bit on, and then I'm going to take that Q-tip that I started to talk about. And all right, well, I'll just take my gloved fingers first and smush it around. But you want to leave some of the blue showing through, and then with the Q-tip, you pull the cotton out the end a bit so that it's this weird floppy little line of stuff. Stick it in your paint, and it see that? Oh, I hope you can see it up close. It's pretty fun. It does things better than a paintbrush, in my opinion. So here I want to discuss a little bit about materials. I'm not going to go completely into an in-depth look at the materials, and there's an entire list on my website under my blog. It's pinned to the top of the blog, and it's your basic tutorial on pour painting, and I call it luminous pour painting because I use so many transparent paints that it does have a luminosity. It doesn't sit on the surface and stay flat. So I want you to look at that, but there are a few things that I use now, like alcohol spray and that cotton swab thing that I frequently use. So I'm not sure that I really need to go too far in depth on this. Frequently asked questions. Is it resin? No. It's mostly Liquitex pouring medium and golden fluid paints. Pouring medium by itself creates a generally flat, glossy surface. And when you add layer on layer, it can result in a bumpy finish. So between bumpy finishes and the fact that thick pours of Liquitex pouring medium, especially in layers, can be damageable. They can be easily dented and aren't safe in galleries. Led me to finishing with art resin, a museum quality non-yellowing surface. It adds additional UV resistance and it keeps dents to a minimum. How long does it take to dry? That depends. If it's a single layer, it can usually dry in a day. In a demonstration outdoors, in the hot weather in July, I've had it dry in 2 hours. But layers usually add drying time, and now that I've really begun layering the last few years, super layered thick paintings can take months to dry. If you think of it, it's like pouring some medium inside a plastic sandwich bag, putting it inside another sandwich bag, wrapping it in cellophane. Those layers down below are really going to take a long time to dry. It always dries on the surface fairly quickly, but the liquid that's in the lower layers is going to take a while to evaporate. And you always have to make sure to wait until it's completely non-opaque to dry. This can take months on really big paintings. And when you're doing small pieces together, or small like swaths of coral or underpainting, you always want to make sure that even though the top layer looks dry, that bottom layer is completely dry. It may be hard to tell because it might have dried dark on the top. I'd give it some extra time on purpose. And then I get questions about commission work. Yes, I do it once in a while. I've done some pretty nice big pieces. They do take a long time and kind of change what you're doing. And do I teach? I do. It has been pretty rare, and obviously a lot of people are having that issue right now. A lot of people are figuring out how to do it on Zoom. I have not quite gone there, but I am supposed to be teaching at the Bothwell this summer, and I believe we're going to do a combination Zoom and in person. So if you're interested, there's a place on my blog to let me know that you're interested in classes. Once I start that back up, I'll start paying attention to that section of my blog again. And how to contact me. You can email me at lindaryanart@gmail.com. Please put Pinole Artist in the subject line so I pay attention to it. I get tons of email right now. Just I've signed up for way too many gardening letters. Or gardening newsletters. And if there are a lot of additional questions for a question and answer period, I will try to group all of those together and get that back over to you guys as a group if that works out. Okay, I think that's it. I actually really do, even though I'm so rusty on kind of everything right now, but especially on the making a video thing. I appreciate you getting me back into that. I found a lot of gems that I'd totally forgotten I'd taken in Mendocino, and that was very well worth my time for me. But also, it did get me playing around with paint again, and that has been a while too. I wish you well, and hope that life brings you very good things. All right, bye.